explaining the term adsorption and absorption. You have two different terms, adsorption and absorption. I'm sorry, you will be seeing an mirror image of this, but there are two terms, adsorption and absorption. Now, adsorption is what we'll be seeing here. Can you see that there are larger molecules and there is a sky blue color phase? So what you have is, this is your mobile phase, which is moving through your static phase or stationary phase. Okay, and these are the different compounds that you can see, they are flowing down, the blue color, the pink color, and the yellow color. So the one that is very close to the inlet, this one is the component that is adsorbed more to the stationary phase. This one is, sorry, this one is still in between, and the last one that you can see, the yellow color one, we'll have to stop the meeting in 10 minutes. We'll have to restart the meeting. Okay. And this yellow which you can see is nothing but the one which is less adhered to the or less absorbed to your stationary phase. This is adsorption. And on this same technique, this will occur. It's like if you are trying to roll out something on a smooth surface, roll out a ball on a smooth surface, a rough surface, and maybe a grass. So on all these three surfaces, the ball is going to move differently with different velocities, even if you start with the same velocity. So this change in velocity will be due to the friction it is being caused between the ball and the surface. Now, if I have different types of balls which have different exterior surfaces, but I have only one type of stationary phase, so every ball will move along that surface differently. That is adsorption. That is what is shown in this figure. You have a sample which automatically will get separated into its components because of the affinity of that particular element to the stationary phase. That is what is actually meant by your adsorption. I hope this concept is clear, because this is the basis for chromatography. Anytime in your vivas, you could be asked the difference between absorption and adsorption. So let's start with gas chromatography. So gas chromatography is a chromatographic technique that can be used to separate volatile organic compounds. A gas chromatograph consists of a flowing mobile phase, an injection port, separation column containing the stationary phase, and a detector. So this is the block diagram. You could refer R.S. Khandpur. The same block diagram you could draw. I could not get the same diagram because I don't have the book with me right now. But if any one of you has taken the book from the library, you can please take a photograph and post it on your WhatsApp group for everyone to refer. So what you have here is, first you have your carrier gas cylinder. Then you have a flow regulator. After that, you have, that is a pressure regulator, and this one is a flow regulator. Then you have a syringe which is going to input the sample into your chromatographic column. This is a syringe, this is the injector port through which the sample will enter into the column. This is your actual column, and then it will move on to the detector. So the component that we have is, the first component is the carrier gas, because it will be used to carry the sample through the column. Then you have the two-stage regulator or the pressure regulator to regulate the pressure of the carrier gas. Normally the carrier gas is a noble gas, so that it will not react with any of the components we are injecting. Then the third one is your flow regulator, because you will also be required to regulate the flow. You can't keep too fast a flow, too slow, because if you keep it too fast, the samples will quickly pass through the chromatographic column. Hence, it will not let you have the readings taken properly. The separation will not be proper. If it is too slow, it is possible that because of the high temperatures in the column, the sample might disintegrate inside. So you have to have an optimum. There should be a balance between the flow of the carrier gas through the column. Then the third part that you have is the syringe and the injector. That means how you are going to place the sample into the column. Then you have the chromatographic column. Column is basically nothing but it is a coiled large tube through which the sample will be passed along with the carrier gas. And then seventh you have the detector. Sorry, not seventh, the sixth you will have the detector. So these are the various components of a gas chromatograph. We'll have to see each component in detail. This is how your gas chromatograph actually looks like. So the carrier gas, as I said, that it is the mobile phase, and only slight changes between carrier gases can be identified. Oh, and because of that only we require the carrier gas to be a noble gas, so that it does not interact with anyone. It should be inert. So there are some properties of the carrier gas. It should be highly pure, inert, it should have a high density. That means it should have a larger viscosity, compatible with detectors, and it should be cheap and easily available. It should not be a rare gas. You have to have maintain the pressure ranges between 10 to 50 psi. Flow rate should be 1 to 150 milliliters per minute. In most of the cases, a selection between helium and nitrogen is made because they are used in most of the gas chromatographs. Other choices are argon and carbon dioxide. Now the types of syringes or injectors that are used. So there are many different syringe and injectors. The most common type is the septum type. You can see the picture of the septum type injector here. This is called split or splitless injector. Then you have the columns, different types of columns that are used in gas chromatograph. Before we move on to the columns, the meeting would be closed, or it would be shut down in 2 minutes, and I will have to give you a new meeting link again. So I would wait for you. I request you all to wait for 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I will generate a new link and give it to you all. So I'll just take a break here. We'll pause here and then I will start the meeting again. Just give me 5 minutes.